When we hear the word martyr, what comes to your mind? Sometimes a victim of oppression who was unjustly killed, a hero, a witness, or perhaps a holy figure whose death started a new religion. Martyrdom is one of the most powerful, contested, and misunderstood ideas in religious history. It's given often a single definition that doesn't always apply to every single faith or belief. It's different for everyone. So I was hoping in this first episode, we'll explore how a couple of different scholars and religious traditions might define martyrdom and why it matters today. In Martyrdom and Memory by Elizabeth Castelli, she discusses how martyrdom isn't just about dying, it's about the storytelling associated with the dying. Communities can turn violent deaths into meaningful narratives that reshape who they are. It shapes their identity and their cultural memory. Brad Gregory emphasizes that martyrdom is about competing truth claims, different religious groups. In his book, he mostly discusses Christianity and the various sects within it, such as Catholicism, Protestantism, Anabaptists, and they all saw martyrs as their martyrs as the proof that their faith was the true one. So does martyrdom validate a faith? David Cook in Martyrdom and Islam, Martyrdom in Islam, my apologies, defines martyrdom or shahadat as not only a death in battle, but a witness of faith. And by dying for your faith, it is you have witnessed the truth in it. And he discusses it as dying in the path of God. In Sikh, for the Sikh tradition, Louis Phoenix, martyrdom in the Sikh tradition, calls martyrdom in Sikhism a game of love, rooted in stories of gurus sacrificing their lives as the highest form of devotion. So it's not a tragic death, but the ultimate sacrifice of love for God. The word martyr in the English language mostly derives from the Greek word martis, meaning witness. And this ties in with Christian sources of what martyrdom means. As, for example, in the New Testament, Acts 22:20, "First with the blood of Stephen, your witness," or Stephen, my apologies, who was the first Christian martyr. And early church fathers stressed that martyrs were sacrifices to Christ through their death. So by dying, by becoming a martyr, you're living the martyrdom of Christ. So it's not just being a victim of persecution, but dying in the way Christ died, and thus being his witness. In Islam, the Quran states that do not say of those who are slain in the way of Allah that they are dead. Rather, they are alive, but you are not aware. So the souls of martyrs, what I understood from this verse, don't disappear. They're always there. And this ties in beautifully with the story, with the tragic martyrdom of Imam Hussein, which is revered across Islam, but especially in the Shiite tradition, who was martyred in Karbala in 1680 CE. And his martyrdom became the paradigm for not only being, though at first seeming like a loss in battle, but actually a cosmic victory of truth over tyranny. So it was a moral victory, which was outweighed loss in battle. In Sikhism, we have many stories of martyrs as well. In Guru Arjan, the first guru to become martyred, is said to have recited, "Sweet is your will, O Lord, in the English translation, O Lord. The gift of your name alone I seek. And in this case, tying in back to what Fennec said about it being about love, martyrdom is not only this act of political resistance, of dying because a political entity is, trying to destroy you or taking advantage, doing bad things, but it's also spiritually surrendering to the will of God, or hukam, and it's embodying this divine will, which is an act of love. That is the Sikh or a Sikh perspective on martyrdom. And then there's also not traditional, I guess, definition of martyrdom, but we can still perceive them as martyrdom. In Buddhism, in the Jataka tales, which are stories of the Buddha's past lives, there are multiple stories of the Buddha's previous incarnations sacrificing his body by giving his flesh to a starving tigress or his eyes to a beggar as a form of selfless compassion. Though it's not him killing or his whole body dying, but this idea of giving your flesh for a greater good or to help other people, that can be seen as a form of martyrdom as well. And this form of martyrdom, I think, tells a lot about Buddhism. These are just some very basic examples that we did not dive very deep into, but I hope that you stick around, as the following episodes that I will upload will dive much more deeply into different stories from different faiths discussing martyrdom, and their impacts on the religions that they come from, and what martyrdom as an idea can tell us about our society, and morality. But for now, what is martyrdom? For some, it is the death for God. For others, it's the ultimate act of devotion, compassion, or even resistance. But as scholars remind us, martyrdom is never just about the moment of death. It is about the stories that the communities tell about the death, the memories they preserve, and the meanings they pass on. And as I said earlier, in upcoming episodes, we'll explore martyrdom more deeply in religions such as Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and beyond. Wherever I see or I find out about martyrdom being an important part of a religion, I will try my best to research that and present that to you. Hopefully, we both can learn from each other. Thank you, and thank you for watching the first episode of Sacred Stories with Joy.